Mickey,
Aubrey.
how are we doing?
Oh my God, I'm so good.
You know what's weird?
What?
It took butt washing to bring us together when we should have been friends for so long.
I mean, well, first of all, we're like 1 degree between us and like 7,500 people. And so
Right.
I think I've already invited you to stay at my house. You know what I mean? Like, we're already there.
But it was ass washing that really finally made the connection.
Thank
Usually
God.
with all these mutual friends, someone would have been like, hey, Mickey, Aubrey, you guys should hang out. You guys would get along great, which we do. But no, that wasn't it.
It was the clean bootay.
So for people who don't know what we're talking about, see, one of the things is, I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know if it's a guy thing or if it's a girl thing. It's
both.
But like, well, I don't know about that. We might have our first disagreement on this podcast because, I've been with a lot of girls. Whitney's right here. You know what? She goes and she takes a shit. And she just pops right out of there, maybe one wipe just to check. Just to check to see if anything might be there, might be hanging on to the toilet paper.
Dingleberries.
And usually it's nothing. It's just like, it was just a check. It just kind of plops out and then she's out of there. Who knows if she peed or if she pooed or what happened? No, not me. It's not to check.
What happened?
Mine is a cleaning process. Mine is a long-term commitment to going to wiping and to wiping and to wiping and then to wet wiping and then to wet wiping and then to wet wiping.
I have thoughts about that.
I don't know what the deal is.
How many sheets of toilet paper do you think you use in a sitting?
Whitney's piping in enough to clog a toilet. I have to half flush through there.
So if the average American uses 57 sheets of toilet paper per day.
I'm at least 112. I'm
Wow.
like doubling.
Wow.
I'm doubling the average for sure. I mean, because there's nothing worse than not having a clean ass,
agree.
because then it starts to itch, and then
you're
you're like
sitting on fecal
you're
matter all
sitting
day
on it.
long.
Yeah, and it's irritating.
Gross.
Nobody wants that.
It's nasty.
All right, so I've dedicated so much of my life before Tushy, which is a bidet toilet seat that adapts to any toilet. I actually first discovered this concept when I went to this the Buddha Bar Hotel in Prague.
Right.
And they had these like Toto toilets, and I was like, oh my God, this is heaven. And it washes it for you. It's like a little sprayer that sprays it down, washes it for you. And then pretty much at that point, you're just drying your butt.
That's it. So how'd you hear about Tushy?
Well, I first saw it at my homie's house, and I was like, wait, it's like those expensive toilets, but it adapts to any toilet seat.
Yeah, it clips onto your existing toilet.
And then Whitney like immediately hooked me up and got me one, like out of the gate. But like I can't really express how much of a game changer this is.
Did you install it?
No, I didn't. I didn't install it. I didn't install it. I don't
points,
have
I was
that.
gonna
It is extra. I should have, because with the amount of time it takes me to wipe my ass, I could have installed 100 Toto toilet seats.
It takes Tushy toilet. It takes 10 minutes to install it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it takes me 5 minutes to wipe my butt. Yeah.
Okay, so
But anyway, so this is the thing. This is like a very interesting thing. The thing is though, like, I don't understand why Whitney can just go in and just let it go, and why it takes me so long.
Well, what are you eating?
Oh, we're going into my diet. It may be the density of my fecal matter. This is the hypothesis that you're saying. It may be something to do with that. Possibly.
Right.
Possibly.
I mean, there's a lot of things.
I mean, I have a heavy fat diet.
That could be it.
So that could be it.
That
could
could
be a
be
little
it.
slippery. You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? And we'll talk about your whole career, and it's all amazing.
No,
it's all
no,
inspiring.
this is great.
But
This is great.
like I want to come out with the real.
This is my favorite part.
I think it's because I don't shave my butthole hair. And I think my hairs gently peel off parts of my log, and they peel it off. There's just enough resistance.
Dingleberries are a real thing.
Yeah.
They are a real thing.
And then when I wipe once, and then it just smears the berry.
That's it.
And then I have this berry
it.
smear.
That's it.
Like a bagel of shit right on my ass.
Right? It's like the way I think about the way Americans and we all wipe our asses is very similar to the way I think about the craziness of if you jumped into your shower and did not turn the water on and just use dry toilet paper to like wipe your body down.
Right.
People will be like, what
What's
the fuck are you
wrong
doing?
with you?
You know?
Yeah.
Or if you were at your kitchen and you at your sink and you cut up a raw chicken, you know, you cut up a raw chicken. And rather than using any water to like, and soap obviously for that particular thing, but just no water. Instead, you just use dry toilet paper to wipe your dish down and put your dish away. People will be like, there's E. coli. I mean, there's like bacteria. There's shit. Like the amount of bacteria and stuff that's in our fecal matter is out of control. And for us, like to actually think about what we're actually doing, which is sitting on it all day long on our computers and letting that stuff like just marinate, get sweaty. It's hot.
That's why I just like it's if I don't have the toilet seat, if I don't have the tushy, I shower. I just shower.
Which is how much water is that for the
and
planet?
Sometimes I'm lazy and I'll just like pull my shirt up and just let it hit the bottom half. Because I'm like, well, I just got to get this done one way or another.
Yeah.
But this is like one of those innovations that I think like changes. It really changes the game.
I mean, thank you for saying that because I agree. And I'm half Japanese, half Indian, and both cultures grew up with bidets. And so every time they come to America, my family, they're like, what is happening? My Indian side or my Japanese side is, I don't understand. What is going on? Softer tone in Japanese. Still harsh in their heads,
Yeah, that's interesting because there's different customs all over the world. Some people have just like, they just wipe with one hand in some water and then they shake hands and eat with their other hand.
Yeah.
That's a lot to keep in mind. I guess if you have a whole lifetime of doing that.
Right. It's like, which one? Wait, what if you're drunk?
But I know from like sexual encounters, if you have any butt play, and you got to remember which fingers are the ones that you can't use for anything.
Right.
They're like done. It's like playing one of those games where you like playing swords with like your friend, and you like get hit in the arm, and you're like, this arm's dead. You can't use this arm to fight anymore.
You're gonna put a marker on that.
Like that arm is done, and then eventually you got to go. That's a lot to remember, especially in the heat of the moment. So there's people trying to wipe their butt with one hand. Woo.
I mean,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
what happens when you just want cashews or something?
It's kind of like when you go into surgery. Have you ever had any operations on your body?
Nothing around my genitals, but
okay. No, well, so I've had 3 ACL reconstructions playing soccer, and when you go into the operation, they actually mark the leg that they're supposed to operate on, and they put a no on the leg that they're not supposed to operate on just in case. And so I think that it could be done for your hand too.
Is they must have done that because it happened.
Of course, 100%. No, it happened a lot.
Like people come out of surgery, like, how'd it go? They're like, excellent, and they're like,
wait a minute,
that's not the leg that was hurt.
Yeah,
like, oh,
could you imagine? Like, it would be horrifying. It would be horrifying. So fun fact, or just curious, do you know why Americans have not adopted the bidet?
No, why?
Okay, well, so it's actually a fascinating history lesson here. So first of all, a French person invented the bidet, right? It's like a bidet, right? Like in the French language. And the bidet in France used to be this like weird squat thing next to your toilet, like a water fountain next to your toilet, which was weird. Ones you have to like shimmy over with your poopy butt. Like I don't understand.
Oh, I've done it. Right? I've done it. I have a bidet at my ranch in Sedona, and I just kind of pull my butt cheeks apart and I shuffle like a crab over from one to the other. But then you know what's weird?
What if there's spillover?
Yeah, well, I kind of manage that problem, right? Because it goes straight up, so I manage that. But then what I always forget is then I'll do the one wipe, and then I'll just put the wipe in the bidet, which doesn't have a drain.
Right.
So then I'm like,
clogging
oh man.
the thing.
So now I got a piece of dirty toilet paper in the bidet that I now got to transfer wet over to the other one, and then it drips wet from the. It's a mess.
It's
not the right thing.
I feel for you, Aubrey. I do. I really do. Okay, so history.
People are like, I used to really love the Aubrey Marcus podcast, and now fuck the Aubrey Marcus podcast. All he wants to do is talk about shit. Well, I'm always talking about my shit. This time it's just literal, everyone.
Everybody poops, okay? Let's be very clear.
That's a kid's book, actually.
It is. Okay, so a French person invented the bidet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then and so the English people hated the French for the longest time. It was like this rivalry, French English. So that was the first reason. The second reason is during World War II, when American soldiers went to fight in Europe, and they would basically go to France, and in France, a lot of the soldiers went to brothels. And in the French brothels, they would see bidets there. And so when they came back to puritanical America, they were like, we were never in bidets, in brothels. We think bidets are disgusting. And so it was like this weird shunning of this sort of sexual thing because it was associated with a sexual thing, which is brothels. Compared to, and during World War II, American soldiers went to Italy. They basically went to southern Italy and discovered this sort of poor man's food called pizza. And in southern Italy, they would basically take this flat bread and they would flatten it out and they would use this flat bread to test the temperature of ovens. And rather than just throwing this flat bread away, the poor people who used to test the ovens, you put tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese on top and used to eat this as a sort of this poor man's food. And this delicacy became this nation-renowned thing. Wow. And the kings and the queens of Italy would travel to southern Italy to eat this food. And eventually when the American soldiers went to Italy, discovered pizza, brought pizza back to America post-World War II. Domino's, Pizza Hut, all these companies grew from then. So they basically imported the pizza and shunned the bidet.
How rude.
Right?
They could have brought both with them.
I mean...
And maybe even some brothels, too.
I mean, like French brothels could be interesting.
It could be interesting.
I'm sure it's empowering, because in France are very... France is one of the most empowered places for women, actually. So... That might have to do with it.
The interesting thing is anything you make illegal, it just, all of the downstream effects of that, you just make it worse. Whether you're talking about criminalization of marijuana or whether you're talking about criminalization of sex work.
Yep.
Okay, what are you going to do? Well, you're just going to increase disease. You're going to increase exploitation. You're going to increase...
Because there's no regulation around
it. Exactly. Yeah. You're going to increase all of these different human trafficking, so many downstream effects, and then the pimps, and then the inability for them to report what happens if things are violent. Like, you create all of these negative downstream effects from something that's going to be happening anyways. Guess what? People are going to smoke weed and have sex for money. It's going to happen. Do you want to do it safe, or do you want to just have it be a free-for-all? And our government's like, nope. Let's close our eyes and just free for all.
Because of the puritanical old societal thinking. And that's one of the reasons why, I care about disruption, constant disrupting the status quo in the same way I feel like
you wrote a book called Disruptor.
Yeah. And I think that's, and when you kind of think about all of the projects that we've both worked on has something to do with really looking at a category that hasn't really been shifted in a while and really asking ourselves, why haven't people adopted it? Yeah. Like, what is this weird stigma around these things? Namely, for me, it was named a woman's period and now poop and, even food. Like, those categories have been really, really sort of, this is how you talk about it. Don't tell me how to eat my food. Right. Don't tell me how to, don't talk about periods. Don't talk about poop. And there's very little innovation happens from that place. It's just a very interesting thing that happens when you stop talking about things. Yeah. Right?
So, all right. So let's talk about that. So you're one of, a very interesting, successful female entrepreneur that there's not a huge list of badass serial female entrepreneurs, or at least maybe I'm ignorant to how many there actually are. Because there may be way more than I recognize, but you come up on the short list of badass female serial entrepreneurs, and like you said, you just found markets that were seriously underserved. So what was that moment for you with Thinx where you were like, there's some stuff that's not quite right with periods, and let's fix it?
Yeah, we'll talk about periods and then we can talk about Tushy as well thereafter. So with Thinx, well, for me personally, I would run from one restaurant to another. It's my first business within the restaurant business. When I was 25 years old, I opened my first gluten-free farm-to-table pizza concept called Slice, and now called Wild. We
did you have a bidet in your pizza place just to make the whole thing?
We did not at the time.
Well,
I know.
Part of the problem.
Okay,
fine. Throw rocks at the old puritanical soldiers, and then open a pizza joint without a bidet. Whatever.
That's true. No, that's true. It's true. Well, to be fair, I didn't have Tushy at the time, but it's true. I could have put a bidet. It's true. You're right. You're right for many reasons.
Okay, no worries.
Right.
We'll move past that. We're young, we make mistakes, things happen.
Yeah, and so when I went from one restaurant to the second restaurant, I would ride my bicycle from one restaurant to another, constantly back and forth, and so often I would forget to change my tampon, and I would just have these accidents, just running around as an entrepreneur, as a person who's busy, and And I just, looked at the category, and there was just very, very little innovation. In the entire 20th century, there had only been 3 major innovations, tampons, pads, and menstrual cups. And that's it. And menstrual cups are still tiny. Tampons, pads are really the things that dominated the category, the $15 billion category.
What do they call those Diva cups now?
Diva cups, yeah. Those are, those are one brand, but there are many types of cups.
So what I don't know much about a Diva cup. I imagine like you take one of the small little cups that you have by a water cooler when you don't want someone to take too much. And you just kind of have that with like a little cone shaped thing, and you just kind of put that in there.
It's basically what that is. It's pretty friggin' insane, actually. That you just like fold this thing in,
and then what do you just?
Then you pull it out and you like dump it out, and then your fingers get all bloody.
Pull a little bloodshot out.
Oh yeah, no, it's like in your nails. It's just like it gets pretty intense. Yeah. It could be. Is
there like a Diva cup shot taking dare, or like?
I mean, people do all kinds of rituals with their blood.
It's like an oyster shooter.
It is.
You mix it with a little vodka, a little horseradish.
I mean, I know people who put it all over their face.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Facial.
I've seen that at Burning Man.
Yeah,
that's kind of more normal.
Right.
But I'm talking Diva Cup oyster shooters.
Whoa, that's interesting. That's Hey, if you do it, I'll do it.
Yep, and there we go. Lost another
you'll take Whitney.
Lost another 10,000 from the Aubrey Marcus podcast just now. Here it is. This marks the end of things, everybody. It's the end of times. Thank you so much. I've loved you all.
Please don't make it on my watch, please. Yeah. Well, so when I discovered the whole just this category had very little innovation, there was just a huge opportunity. So actually, it was at my family barbecue. I come from a very competitive family, Asian family, tiger parents all the way. I have an identical twin sister and a third sister who's 11 months older than us. And we're Irish triplets, pretty crazy. My dad came to America with $5 in his pocket from India. My mom came here from Japan, like barely speaking any English. And, in one generation really managed to figure out how to put 3 kids, through school and through all the things. And when we went from... So every year for my entire childhood, we would have these crazy competitions. We would have every birthday, all of our friends would have to know their current events for the year. And so you had to come in like as a 5-year-old knowing like who the president of China was, or is it a prime minister? I don't remember at this point. And so cut to, in our 20s, we had our challenge was called Agrapalooza. So my last name is Agrawal, and we would have Agrapalooza every single year. And it was like 3-legged race and egg toss, and it would be like volleyball championships. And everyone would have to come with a talent. So we had a talent show, and you weren't allowed to come in if you didn't have your talent prepared. It was like a full-on military-style party, but everyone loved it.
Yeah. And the most, because you probably won Agrapalooza all the time. I have just an instinct. I have an instinct that at home you have Agrapalooza trophies, just like Agrapalooza 2007, 2008, 2009, just a dynasty of Agrapalooza wins.
Well, as the 10-year reigning champion of the 3-legged race, my twin sister and I were actually defending our 10-year championship title for the 3-legged race. We're identical twins. It's pretty much like cheating. It's like the same person running. But in the middle of the race, my twin sister started her period. And we had to
you can't stop.
You can't stop.
No, you keep 3-legged it on.
You gotta win that
championship.
And so we sprinted to the finish line, obviously in first place, and then had to sprint past it into the house, up the stairs, still tied to each other, so she can go to the bathroom and change out her bathing suit bottoms. And because it was full of blood, it was like running down my leg too, because we were tied together. Anyway, it was crazy.
Wow.
And so in my sock, whatever, doesn't matter. And so as she was washing out the blood from the bathing suit bottoms was when the idea hit. Wouldn't it be amazing to create a pair of underwear that never leaked, that never stained, that supported women every day of the month? And so then we walked outside and talked to my older sister, Yuri, and we were like, Yuri, how come every single one of your underwear is full of period stains in them? We used to like just try to borrow some from hers, but just never could find like a clean pair. And we were just like, this is so gross.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I'm calling you out, Yuri. But to like
it's probably
all of
universal.
your soiled underwear.
It's kind of universal.
It is. And she was like, Miki, in the middle of an operation, she's a head and neck surgeon. In the middle of an operation, while she's like operating on someone's face, she can't be like, yo, face, stay open while I go change my tampon. Like she can't do that. And so in the middle of an operation, she just has accidents over and over and over again into her underwear, and that was just a normal freaking thing. And I thought about my time playing soccer. I played Division I at Cornell, and I played for the New York Magic for 2 seasons. And in my games, you can't be like, yo, ref, stop the game, change my tampon, BRB. Like, you can't do that,
Yeah.
And so,
although depending on the ref, they might be so freaked out, they might be like,
okay,
time out, I guess.
But think about all of the women that play
everybody,
sports at a high level. It's just like, it's crazy. And so, it was just an obvious ding, ding, ding moment. Every situation, stuck in traffic, you're sitting in a meeting, you're whatever, talking right here, right now. So there's an opportunity to really create this product, and we launched in 2014, and we had crazy growth since then.
So one of the things that, like, whenever I sit down with somebody who's done some great things, I get a sense, not that I'm looking for it, but I just get a sense of some of the magic. And just hearing you at lunch yesterday talk about it, and then seeing some of your Tushy videos, there's like a fire and there's a passion to not only just talk about it, like, hey, we're going to launch this company and it's going to be good and it's going to help you, have panties that don't leak. No, you're like, these fucking panties are not going to leak, and we're going to put it out there, and there's going to be crazy videos, and it's going to be like in your face. And it's so successful. Like, all your Tushy videos, I was watching them, they have like millions of views.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't just kind of limp in. You get this idea and then you go full out.
Yeah. By the way, may I just say to those listening, please do not go to Tushy.com. It's a very graphic porn site. It's a very graphic anal porn site. The most graphic, actually. I would go to hellotushy.com. Thank you, please. Thank you. Hellotushy.com. Thank you. We've had investors go to Tushy.com, and we'd be like, no.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. Whitney's looking it up right now. She literally is. I mean, you can show if you like. I mean, show Aubrey. It's pretty. If that first image is still what it was. Oh no, it's okay. No, at first it was literally whoa.
Yep. There it is.
There. Oh God.
There it is.
Oh
wow.
Oh God. I will never get those eyes
what
back.
Are we doing? Are we podcasting? What just happened? I go slightly brain dead when I see that thing happen. It's a strange thing. Okay, podcasting, Miki. We're back, everybody, from a slight hiatus. Tushy.com just got a huge spike.
Yeah.
Hello, Tushy.com is what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Your videos are not as graphic, but they're way funnier.
Yeah. Well, one of our asshole video, the one with the asshole character video. I mean, that one, we have literally a person in a butt costume. That video cost us like $13,000. We shot it in Canada, and it has like 20, I don't know, between 25 and 50 million views at this point.
Yeah, that one's hilarious. My favorite part of that video is the assholes just kind of hanging out, and then somebody has a drink and it just knocks the drink out of that person's
I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And she knocks it out of the hand.
Like, you are an asshole. That's rude.
Yeah, the character's an asshole when she's not clean.
I didn't look at the Thinx. I didn't look at any of the Thinx kind of marketing materials and video materials. Was it the same kind of strategy? Just kind of aggressive, straight at you.
Saying what it is.
Say what it is.
Because people, at Procter & Gamble's of the world, and they would say like time of the month. And they would use like the blue liquid. And they'd be like women dancing in the fields. And you're just like, that's not how it is on your period. You're keeled over, you're feeling like shit, and you're like angry. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're going to show pictures like that. And it's just funny. And we're going to say period, and it's okay. And we're going to say poop, and we're going to say shit, and we're going to say asshole, and we're going to say, and it's okay. We're going to say butthole, and we're going to say, we're just going to say things that are what everyone actually says. And not sugarcoat it, because like at the end of the day, why people like you, because you're fucking authentic, and it's like why people like appreciate the work that we do is because it's authentic, and it's not just trying to be like, what do they want me to say? How do they want me to say it? I'm going to say what I want to feel. I want to say what I feel. I want to say what I think. I'm going to say like what I really feel deep in my lower chakra. Like I'm just going to share that, and that's it. And I think that people are craving for that. People just want real.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think that's one of the things that makes it hard about going to certain movies that have like a lower rating. Because like some horrible thing will happen in a PG-13 movie and people will be like, dang, like darn it. Like said no one ever. People are like, fuck. That's like what everybody says in real life, right? But in the movie, you're like, oh, now I don't trust this whole movie anymore. Right. And I think it's the same with marketing and advertising and podcasts. It's like when you're not being who you normally would be, like people can sense it.
Yeah.
They can like feel it.
Yeah.
It feels like an
Awkward.
instrument that's out of tune. You're
Right.
like, wow, we're listening to violin, but someone's got to tune this back to truth.
Right.
Because this isn't how anybody talks or how anybody does.
100%. I just, when you said a horror movie, what the image that got into my head was the last horror movie I saw in theater was I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh,
have you seen that? And I thought it was a summer movie about like summer love. And I went with my twin sister and my older sister, and the three of us went. And the entire time we were clutching, like, like it was like I'm such a like scaredy cat when it comes to, I mean, do you like horror movies?
No, I don't.
I have nightmares for probably months after that. I have such a sensitive, like being, I think, because like, that shit is so terrible. Like, why are horror movies so huge? I don't understand.
Well, I think it's tapping into some, like there's an endogenous chemical release.
Right.
You're basically taking drugs when you go to a horror movie. And those drugs are some drugs that people like. Like some people like crack. People like speed. People like these drugs. People like horror movie drugs.
Right.
And that's like some combination of adrenaline, norepinephrine, and I don't know what drugs get released endogenously when you go to a horror movie, but they're not drugs that I particularly like, nor is it a way that I like to spend my time either. I know. I'd much rather have the Tushy.com drugs. Those drugs feel better. They come in warm, like I get a little disoriented, like
tired.
Yeah. I'll choose my highs,
Right.
Like it's I'm not bashing drugs. If you like the horror movie drugs, and if you want to it's like when you go to one of those like raves or even Burning Man, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like the really good music where everybody's vibing. And then there's some places where you go in this tent, it's like,
and people are just like
tweaking
banging out.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you want to do that?
But sometimes that's some people's bag, I guess.
That's some people's thing.
Yeah.
That's how they just want to release the fury. I mean, I get it though. I've had different moments. Like when I was, I've told this story before, but when I was in college and I had a girlfriend who would cheat on me, and then we'd break up, and blah blah blah, and then
a killer. Where's she? Just kidding.
And then she ended up going and started dating this Pittsburgh Steeler, and so I had to watch him on TV, and I could look up his stats, and I was like looking up his combine stats, and I was like so angry and like so like I had to beat him. I was so competitive that I would just listen to Pantera on my Discman. I think I had a Discman. Like I don't even think I had an iPad at the pod or whatever the hell that was. It was 2004. And it was just listening to Pantera on repeat, just bench pressing with the University of Queensland rugby team in there, just like giving me nods, like, yeah, you've got good hate. You got good hate, mate. You got good hate, mate. Keep that hate alive,
That's
mate.
So good.
And like that was my thing for a little while, and I guess that worked for me. Didn't really. I was miserable, but nonetheless, I got a sick bench press from it.
What do you put up these days?
It's not my best, but I can put 3 wheels on each side and get it up a couple times.
That's good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I got short arms though. I'm like built for bench pressing.
That's
like I'm tall, but my arms are Tyrannosaurus short.
Right. Well, that's probably good.
So it's like a little bit, a lot more. Yeah, arch back a little bit and get it in there. I'm only pushing like 1 foot of length.
Stop it.
Yeah, to clear my chest. That's all I really need.
That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of weight.
It is a lot of weight. That's kind of my special. So when people come in, like, for example, like when Whitney's boyfriend came in to work out with me, you best believe
I'm putting 3 plates on either side.
You best believe that bench press was one of the exercises that we were going to do. And pull-ups, too. I could do a lot of those. So there's a couple things like, hey, you want to hit the bench maybe?
Yeah.
It's like,
how about we compete? How many did you do? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, you good with that? Is that your max set? All right, I'll just warm up with that.
Yeah.
And then we'll go.
I love it.
And then we'll go forward from there.
I love it. I love the
I still can't help it. Even as much as I try to like elevate to that kind of conscious place, and I can get there a lot.
But in sports, it's just different. It's just like this other thing, just the switch. I love it though. I love this shit talk. We had this weekend. I was at this like entrepreneurship conference, like summer camp thing, and we were like the green team, and we're going up like against the white team and the blue team. And like
It's like medieval times.
oh yeah, no, whatever. Yeah. And the white team, like this one guy from the white team, he was like, good luck, gangrene. And I was like, oh, I don't know what came over me, but immediately I was like, I'm going to pop you like a whitehead, whitey. Like, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I don't know where that came from. My bad.
I mean, you guys are going deep into biological issues.
It's like, okay, sorry, sir.
Because that's slightly preferable to, okay, you bag of cum. Like, let's go. Let's see what happens here.
Right.
Yeah. It's that competitive thing is, I think, part of what fuels probably a lot of entrepreneurs. You know, like you look at, if I look at a lot of the successful entrepreneurs that I see, like there's a competitive fire in there.
Yeah.
But like, and I think that's definitely part of the fuel that we use. Now, it's not the cleanest fuel. I think the cleanest fuel is doing what we're here to do, doing what we love, being of service to our customer.
For sure.
But every once in a while, there's that little bit of competitive fuel, like, oh, those motherfuckers over there said I couldn't.
Right.
Or that person said, okay, you don't think I can? All right, well, here we go. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. It's like me when I'm playing crap. Like, I don't like a lot of the gambling games. Like,
Yeah.
I just always lose. But craps are fun because at least I have the dice in my own hand, and I feel like somehow in my own head, if I lose, I feel like it's my fault.
Right,
you know,
right.
And if I win, I also take full credit. Like, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. But interestingly, so there's a way that you can bet against the roller on craps tables. So it's like the don't pass line for those of you who know craps. And when someone bets it, usually you bet with the roller. Most of the table bets with the roller. That's why in craps, everybody's celebrating at the same time.
Why? Because the roller's usually hot? Or
Well, you bet with them. So you're all on the same team. You're betting slightly different numbers, but if you're betting the pass line, then, you know, if the roller rolls the same number, you roll that first number, and it selects the number, and then you roll the second number, and then if you win, then you win on the pass line.
Wow.
Right, but you can bet the don't pass line, which is betting that basically the roller and the whole rest of the table is going to lose. Right, so they're kind of like they're like the antagonists of the whole group. But I love it when that dude comes up and bets the don't pass. I'm like,
okay.
Okay. Why don't you put more on that don't pass line? Why don't you bet more against me? And like, I fucking love it. And then like, I'll always start a dialogue. I can't help it.
Right.
I can't help but be like, oh, so you're on the don't pass line. Is that all you're going to put on there? You're not more confident that I'm going to fail? Okay, put more down there then. For some reason, I think I bend the laws of the universe for one time, and I will just bankrupt that guy. And then I'll beat him one time, and then everybody will be celebrating, but all I'll be doing, I won't even be celebrating. I'll just be focused on that one. Dude's like
making eye contact.
You know, I probably won't win again. You should probably put more on that don't pass line.
Right.
You know, and the great victories that I've ever remember, it's not how much money I've won playing craps. It's those times where I've watched that person put more money on the don't pass, and then just run out of money and then leave quietly with no eye contact. And I'm like, that's right. Don't ever bet against me, ever.
I mean, competition is really important business. I actually love competition. I actually love it when people, you know, try and create competitive products because it only makes me want to be better. It actually like raises my bar, and I'm like, this is so much more fun. I actually just posted on Instagram a couple of days ago about like forget participation trophies. You know, it's like, what the fuck's about participate? What is it about participation trophies that people like? I mean, would you, if you lost, be down to get a participation trophy? It just feels so strange to me. It feels like I don't
even understand it.
I don't get it, right? I got some comments from different moms, sent me messages, or different people being like, you'll understand when you have kids. I'm like, I have a kid. Like, I do. And I still don't. Like, my kid, if he comes in fourth place, I'm going to, like, at a tournament, I'm going to pat him on the back and say, you'll get him next time. And he ain't getting no trophy, you know? Like, it's just not... That's not how you learn.
You can celebrate that you went out there and did
the thing,
But leave the trophy for the trophy so that the trophy means something.
Right, and then you can strive to do better the next time. And you're out there. You're like you're doing it.
It also mimics real life. What are sports other than like an analogy and a playground for life? Guess what? Us entrepreneurs, have we gotten any goddamn participation trophies?
Never.
No,
Yeah.
not once. I failed so many
We're
different
eating
things.
beans and rice, okay?
Yeah, you just fail all the time, and people are like, yeah, you suck, and we lost our money, so fuck you.
Right.
That's our participation trophy, is like a middle finger.
Right. I think so many of the parents who are in this sort of like coddling phase is just they're not preparing the children for like the world, the real world. Like there are like you have to strive to make it, or you just do average and you'll be all right, and you won't. That's okay. If you want an average life, that's great too. If you want to not care, that's fine too. But if you want to live an exceptional life, you have to freaking apply yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to do it. And if you don't win, you have to work harder the next time. Be more creative. Read more things and go get more inspiration somewhere, or go and just keep doing more and more until you put enough hours that you figured out what works and what doesn't. Like that's the shit that winner, like people who do get that trophy or that medal get, because they deserved it. They put in that time and the effort.
It's a full spectrum thing, but you need that point of resistance, that kind of that fulcrum, that challenge point, that thing that's going to be hard. And there's a lot of ways that you can approach it. All right, maybe you need to double your efforts, or actually maybe it's your fear that's preventing you from actually performing at the level that you could. Let's say you're, I don't know, doing something that's not as physical. Let's say it's like musical or something like that. And when you get up on stage, you lock up. Maybe you're so focused on winning, and that's the only thing that matters, that you can't actually perform your best. That can happen in sports. That can happen even in fighting.
Yeah.
Where people will go up and they'll not be themselves because they're so scared of what it would be like if they don't win and all that. So there's psychological issues, there's emotional issues, but nonetheless, these are all opportunities and invitations to work on ourselves based on the actual resistance that exists. And look, we have easy, cushy lives, most of us. If we're listening to this podcast right now,
we're pretty good.
That means we got a smart device in our pocket. We got some way to listen.
Yeah.
Like we've probably made it. And I know when I say that, they're like, oh, well, what about the people who are so poor in Africa? Like, yeah, I know. I've been to the slums. They're not listening to the podcast. They can't. They don't have the money for it. Like, I get it. So, but if you're listening, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
And you're going to need to actually seek out these points of resistance, like seek out the compression that's going to create the adaptation. Seek out the things that are going to be like a workout that are going to put stress on your body, so that you have to make the correct adaptations to it.
And then you build muscle that way.
You build muscle.
Yeah.
All of the different types of muscle, from the mental muscle, the emotional muscle, the spiritual muscle, the physical muscle, and that's what it takes, because this journey is hard.
Yes, we talked a little about that yesterday, and I feel like, when you're, I feel like when you're competing, and when I'm competing, and if I lose, or if I'm competing, or if I'm in business, I'm talking competition in the world, both in sports, but then also in the world, when you're building businesses and you go through really tough stuff. Like those tough experiences are actually the greatest teachers. It's like the moments where your muscle builds more, right? It's just like I feel like a much stronger person having gone through the points where you fall on your face, or where someone jukes you out on a game and you have to pick yourself back up and read the game better, or read that person's body better, or read the situation. It's just like you're just better every time thereafter. And it's like,
that's why we can be grateful for everything that's happened in the past.
Right.
If we're grateful for everything, listen, if you're grateful for everything that's happened in the past, why are you so scared of the future?
Right.
Really, though.
Right.
I'm grateful for everything that's happened in my whole past. How about the future? Terrified. How the fuck does that make any sense? But I'm there too. I'm not preaching to you from someone who's solved it.
It's because we also live in this crazy world where you see people get taken down publicly. You see these stories. You see inflamed headlines about all these people who are going through horrifying shit that you're like, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
And there's this peer pressure that if I fail, what if I'm going to be a laughing stock like those people? I don't want to do that. And there's this perceived fear because of all of the inputs that we're getting in the world. And I think that this is why I've stopped kind of reading the news, to be honest, because it's all just a bunch of like amygdala firing bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like our amygdala is the part of our brain that's the fight or flight part of our brain. And it fires off and you see like a bear about to attack you and you all of a sudden you have your afterburners on, you can run super fast. And that's like why you have your amygdala. But in this world where we don't have that kind of like, you know, that kind of like bears running after you, what we get are crazy inflamed headlines that make you click on them because it's sort of like to make you feel safe. It's like, oh my God, some crazy like shooting, or there's this like crazy ass shit that went down. Let me click on it to see. And it kind of triggers your amygdala, and that's what
it's black magic.
It's fucking crazy.
It's black magic. Like people have found ways to hack into the brain
and think that we're making the decision,
it's like
but we're not.
Movie, right?
Yeah.
Like a horror movie is like, why does a horror movie work? Well, we're creating drugs for you. And here are the drugs that we're going to create. You're going to watch this, you're going to be scared, and you're going to get drugs. You're going to get drugs just from viewing these, and these drugs are going to be produced by your own body.
Right.
And or you can watch the news, and guess what? It's going to manipulate your brain by some combination of drugs, of fear, of desire for safety, of disgust, perhaps.
Yep.
You know, like disgust is an emotion that's actually has some evolutionary biology behind it and is actually linked to certain elements of racism.
Yep.
It's like tapping into these certain like old elements, and they're just like, oh yeah, we'll use all this stuff just to get ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, exactly.
That's black
so
magic.
Fucked up. And it's like what's the most fucked up is that like we feel like we have agency over our thoughts and our ideas and all of our stuff, but it's literally mostly coming from yellow journalism, coming from these crazy inputs, from these inflamed headlines. And so because of that, we think we're deciding, but we're not.
Yeah.
That's the part that's the craziest thing, is that we think we have agency over our own thoughts and ideas, and we oftentimes don't because of what the world is serving us.
Yeah.
So that's the part, that's where I'm just like, that's why I've stopped. I really don't often read the news. I read this really sweet newsletter called The Optimist Daily. And it's basically just, it's not like only looking at the good and forgetting the bad. It's like, it's all the innovations and inventions, all the human achievements that are happening around the world, like things that are people are doing really cool shit. You know, and it's not like just like this shooting and that shooting, because guess what? Like the world actually is safer today than it ever was. Yeah. And because we're seeing all this crazy shit, because it's now we live in a global world, and everyone wants to put these crazy these crazy headlines from around the world. It's actually less shit. We're just seeing more of it because we have access to more of it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, this is the best of times.
It is.
And that's the thing that people, because of what's being put out, people think of it as
the hardest, worst. Like, oh my God.
You know,
like,
but really,
we're so divided. It's like
really,
we've been to, like, the Republicans and Democrats, that's not new.
Yeah.
It's just being more inflamed.
It's just being exacersated right now by this. But yeah, if you actually look at the gross statistics in the aggregate, like things are better. And if you look at the, in
less
the
hunger,
aggregate,
less disease, it's just
and
like
also
less crime
less
overall.
racism, less sexism, it's not like it's eradicated. Like I get it. There's still bad stuff out there, but you're telling me it's not better than it was in the 80s?
Yeah.
Or better than it was in the 60s? You know, like Martin Luther King was still fucking out there in the 60s talking about stuff, you know, like things were way worse then, you know, things have been way worse all along.
Yeah. And it's like we live in this crazy world of outrage too, where it's just like outrage. And it's just like, it's like the outrage only feeds this yellow journalism, only feeds these clickbait headlines, only feeds, it's just like, and the people are now part of the outrage. And that's the part that really makes me sad, because I'm just like,
well, the problem is there's not enough actual challenge in the world, right?
Right.
You know, and I think Mark Manson makes this point amazingly in his book, Everything is Fucked. And it's like, and also Sebastian Junger makes this point in his book, Tribe. Like when all of the external challenge goes away, we have to pipe up these internal issues and make them really fucking important, because we're built for challenge.
Yeah.
We're an animal that's built for struggle.
Yeah.
So you better go out and find your own struggle.
Right.
Or you're going to create some bullshit struggle, and your life's going to be a goddamn Kardashian show.
Right.
You know, but worse.
And it's
but worse.
Because you don't have the Kardashian money.
Yeah, because you don't have the money, and the cameras don't stop rolling, and it's not whatever. I mean, I don't know what the hell goes on there, but it's going to be worse, because it's going to be this reality show of drama and outrage that you're going to create and manifest.
Yeah.
Because you need the struggle, but you're not going out there and actually doing something, fighting for a cause, or like putting yourself in challenging, difficult situations like a sweat lodge or a cold plunge or ayahuasca journey or something that's going to actually be hard, so that you don't have to trump up some bullshit that you're worried about.
Like, amen. And it's so interesting, because I also like, I think about people's first response when they hear someone saying something opposing your viewpoint, and it's an immediate outrage thing. And I actually came up with this really simple technique called the triple Q technique. That's actually in my book, Disrupt Her, that basically helps you approach someone that has a completely differing viewpoint than you, but like you don't have to lead with outrage. Because like right now it's like, okay, I get it. Like we can march and we can pick it, we can do this, but all it does, it actually strengthens the opponent, right? You create that barrier, it strengthens the opponent. And so how do you create that sort of like where we meet people where they are? And so I talk about Whole Foods Market in my book and how John, who's one of my dear friends, John Mackey, founder of Whole Foods Market, he basically started off Whole Foods as a vegetarian store. They had no coffee, they had no sugar, that was a vegetarian store. Yeah. And they almost shut their business down within like the first couple of years. And his decision was, do I either meet people where they are and actually offer meat and offer coffee and offer some sweet things in my store and then slowly teach people over time about the plant-based diet? Or do I get fucking outraged? And do I just yell at everyone for eating meat and telling them that they're terrible and how awful they are? And how dare you drink coffee? Dare you drink sugar? And all of a sudden it creates this outrage. He had a choice. And he chose, rather than going the outrage path of being like the vegan, prideful person, he said, I'm going to meet people where they are and offer meat in my stores. And guess what? 35 years later, millions of more people have converted to a plant-based diet than had it been otherwise, or it had been create a more divisive experience where his store would have shut down and he never would have been able to teach millions of people.
Providing healthy options for anybody who wants a plant-based diet or not a plant-based
exactly.
diet.
But you have to meet people where
I either shop at Whole Foods or Erewhon pretty much exclusively.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's just, those are where I'm going to be able to get the grass-fed beef, and I'm going to get the wild-caught salmon, and I'm going to get all the good organic veggies, and I'm going to get all of the, Primal Kitchen mayo and all of the stuff that I really like.
Exactly.
So he's a bit by that inclusive ideology rather than this inclusive radical, like, this is what it is and everybody needs to be like me. He's created one of the most disruptive forces in the health food world.
$18 billion business. I mean, it's just like, and it's doing so much good in the world. Yeah. And so what in my book I talk about the technique, the triple Q techniques. The first one is quit back, question, quit. And so quit back just means like meet people where they are. Quit back. If someone says say some dude from Brooklyn says some sexist joke, whatever, instead of being like, hey, fuck you, it's like that's just how they're brought up. Like you can't meet them with like asshole response. Like you meet them where they are, just like, thanks, I've been working on my ass, whatever. It's like it's just like you say something, you quit back, and then they're like, okay, this girl can hang, she's cool, she's cool. Yeah. And then you if you quit back and you get in that way, like one of the stories I talk about as well in the book is, this woman fighter pilot used to basically fly planes, and she used to get so freaking nervous because if she didn't land the plane absolutely perfectly, all the other fighter pilots would be like, girls can't drive, see? We knew girls can't drive. What the fuck? Yeah. And instead of her being really upset about it, she would quit back and say, it wasn't my fault, it was the ass fault. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was just some stupid, whatever. And it was just some corny ass joke. But then the guys were like, oh, this girl's cool. You know? And so they stopped freaking harassing her, kind of thing. And so it's like, you meet people where they are, you quit back first. You kind of get, because it's not like they're trying to be they're just, this is how people grew up. We live in a society where this is how it's been. It's like, and so you quit back. And if that doesn't work, if you're quipping back and they're still being met with kind of not a cool response.
Which usually doesn't happen, because if you coolly and calmly say something back,
most people are cool.
If someone, it doesn't happen as much anymore, but when someone would, this was in bro culture, a la 2008 or 9 or whatever, or 6, I don't know where, but calling someone gay would have been something that you'd be like, hey man,
that's good,
gay.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, yeah, man, I've been sucking dick all day. I'm exhausted from it. And at that point, you've completely diffused the thing,
right?
And you're not stressed about it. They're not stressed about it. And so if you're wearing the fanny pack and someone's like, it's getting, and again, it's 2008 language, this is gay. And you're like, yeah, it's great for having my anal plugs in it. The moment you say that, you quit back, they laugh.
Exactly.
And then it's like, the game is over.
Oh, exactly.
The game's over.
That's it. And then you're all of a sudden you're in good graces. You can talk about the next. It's you're absolutely right. So, but sometimes when you quip back, it might not work, and you question them. You're like, yo, dude, that was funny, but like, you know, just when you said that, kind of like, whatever, rub me the wrong ways. I just want to like talk about it. And you can just say it like in a casual, not like, yo, fuck you, man. Why'd you say that? You don't question like in a mean way. You kind of just like in a casual, kind of fun loving way. It's like, hey man, like, I don't know. That's kind of whatever. You know, you say it that way. And if they're still not getting it, then you quit the conversation, not quit like, fuck you, I'm out of here. You quit the conversation, just like, you know what? I'm feeling a little like, we're both a little heated right now. I'm going to go take a walk. BRB. Like, I'll be right back. Like, all in good love, all in good fun, but not like ever getting outraged. And any one of those 3 techniques, if you start by quipping back first, then questioning, then quitting the conversation, just in that moment, that shit diffuses really fast. And then you can really shift people's consciousness really, really fast, I found.
Yeah. And then, you know, take the time to like see beyond why they're saying that, right? Like where
what's the societal conditioning?
Where is this coming from?
Right.
And like what insecurities, what fears, what other things are like causing this? You know, there's something we were watching last night and it came on. It was something, it was old. And it was, you know, Sacha Baron Cohen played that character Bruno.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
And the character Bruno was always like, he was like basically like goading people into these situations where like they didn't know he was gay,
right.
And then he would like show up gay. He created like this whole like heterosexual convention. It was like HeteroCon or something like that, right? And it was like, and so like he comes out in camo and he's got a mullet and he's got all of these people and he gave out free shirts that said assholes are just for shitting and like all of these things.
Wait, that's good.
Yeah, and it has this like steel cage, you know.
Assholes are just for shit.
And he's in there.
HeteroCon.
And he gets his HeteroCon and then there's all these people like so fired up about being hetero. And then so he goes, he has some girls in there and he like strips off the girls' clothes and they're in bikinis and everybody's like, yeah, and everybody's just cheering and like they're so excited. And then this one guy has this planted guy who comes in and he starts calling him a fag. And he calls Sacha Baron Cohen a fag or Bruno, you know, his character a fag. And he's like, oh yeah, get in here, fag, you're gonna get a beating, you know, and everybody's like, yeah, beat him, you know, like, and then they get in the cage and they start like wrestling around, and then there's a moment where they're by the cage, they look and they start making out. And then just the horror as it spreads through HeteroCon and people start throwing drinks and like chairs into the thing and like men and women's faces are like, oh my God, HeteroCon is ruined. Like he's shouting slurs and throwing everything. And then they start like getting more and more aggressive and like laying down and making out under the shower of soda and popcorn. And it was like a hilarious thing, and that's what Sacha Baron Cohen does, him. Right? He puts people in situations to expose some of this. But the point of all this is you could look at all that and you can be like, man, look at these people; they're so ignorant. Yeah. And it is funny to laugh at that. But then, all right, you can also have the awareness to look, all right, like what's the conditioning that went deeper?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, their parents were like that, probably.
That's it.
They also, the ones who showed up at HeteroCon, might be a little scared of their own bisexuality. Exactly. And so they're fighting against themselves and their own shame that they have against that. And so the most passionate ones are probably fighting a little bit of, you know, like I think Joe Rogan had that joke, like the people who are most against gay marriage are afraid that secretly dicks are delicious.
Right.
You know, like you're fighting against yourself in that way. And then it's just all of these cultural things. And you can see that. And it may not be, you may not want to spend a day with the HeteroCon attendee, but you can like look at that and be like, all right, well, like over time, like I really hope that shifts. Yeah. But you cannot hate that person. Yeah. Yeah. You know, because you just know that this is a series of conditionings that again, like forgive them for they know not what they do. Like they didn't really know what forces were acting upon them and why they hated it so much. It was just like
the way it was.
The way it was.
The way they learned, the way they grew up, what they were taught. Like, oh, if I did that, then I'll get rejected. Or if I did that, then they won't love me, and therefore I'm going to act this way. Oh, when I act this way, they do love me. Okay, I'm going to do more of that. Okay, you know, and you just keep going in that way, and it just really comes down to just love. It really does.
Right?
Yeah.
And that would be so much better than all of the hate and all of
the outrage right off the bat.
And that's you know, that's something when you were talking, getting really passionate, you're talking about like sisters like really coming together to lift each other up.
Yes.
And to like help each other.
Yeah.
and it's all people really.
Yeah.
It could be sisters, could be brothers, but it could be all people to just be like, hey, we're all team people here. We're all team Earth.
Yeah.
Like, let's come on.
Right.
Like, let's do this
Let's
together.
do this together. Yeah.
Let's stop fucking with each other.
God, yes.
Like, there's an asteroid that's going to come, and it's huge. It's like a world destroyer. They call it the God of Chaos.
When?
It's in 10 years. And it's coming so close that it's going to be coming in between the communication satellites and the Earth. And if God of Chaos diverts and hits the Earth, bye-bye, everything's dead. It's the world ender. But most likely, it's just going to pass, the way they've tracked the trajectory, it's going to pass in between our satellites and the Earth.
What do they do if it's coming to the Earth?
Can you call Bruce Willis and he gets a drill and he drills the asteroid and then he splits it into, I don't know, that's the plot of Armageddon.
What do you do?
I don't know.
You
what
send
do you do?
a bunch of rockets towards it?
I don't know. You got all kinds of strategies. It is literally the plot of Armageddon. So I don't know. That's the only thing I have to go by. But it's probably not going to hit us. There's a very low chance that this is going to divert.
Isn't it crazy? Like, how have we not been hit by now?
Well, we do, and we get hit every once. So people just forget, and so in the meanwhile, we're so worried about.
No, but not by a big one.
Yeah, no, I know, but we do get hit by big ones. They killed the dinosaur. Well,
12,000
years ago.
12,000 years ago. I guess it's not that
12,000 years
long
ago, there's a big flood because an asteroid probably hit the Greenland ice cap. And then that's what destroyed all of these mega civilizations like Göbekli Tepe and all these things that Graham Hancock has discovered, was this giant flood caused by the melting of the ice caps, which is caused by an asteroid impact only 12,000 years ago. And like barely anybody fucking survived. So, and that happens all the time. And meanwhile, we're like all focused on all of this bullshit, like left and right and this
like,
and
none
that.
None of it fucking matters.
Listen.
We're all going to die.
There's asteroids coming.
And by the way, 10 years after we're dead, no one's going to remember shit about what we did. Okay? Maybe not 1 year.
Yeah. Let's fucking love each other a little more. God, have a little more fun.
Thank you. I feel that. I feel that so hard.
Right.
Have you done holotropic breath work?
I have.
It's like, does your love, like it's like the capacity, I feel like it's like a mushroom experience, but like without any drug, and like in the love, and like sort of like we're all one, like we're all in this together, like all the conflicts that I have in my life, I want to resolve them all in those moments. Like it's pretty powerful.
It's really cathartic for me, actually,
it really
the breath work.
is.
I mean, I've seldom done holotropic or shamanic breath work without a lot of tears coming out. Like a lot of release of like all of this stuff that I've been holding on and all of this rigidity and all of these feelings just like going like, it really like, I feel like I just get it all out.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I'm getting wrung out, like a sponge that had a bunch of dirty water in it.
If everybody in the world did that, if all the world leaders did it, it would be a different world. Everyone did some breath work.
There's so many tools that are available. But the thing is, the ego likes to stay in control, likes to stay in the driver's seat. And all of these things are threatening to the ego because it threatens the identity that we're attached to.
Yeah.
And anything that threatens the identity we're attached to, psychedelics or holotropic breath work or even sweat lodge or all of these things, that it just threatens it. And so people are like, nah, not going to do it, and that's one of the challenges that we're facing is all of these identity, politics, all these identifications of like, this is who I am and this is what I stand for. And without that, people who say we, when they're talking about a sports team,
right?
Like we won the Stanley Cup. No, you didn't. You can't even skate. Like, you didn't win shit. What are you talking about? We won the Stanley Cup. What the fuck, man? Like, we won FIFA. No, you didn't. When were you on the pitch? Like, you didn't do anything. But that's like a friendly, benign way. But it's still like identifying with this thing. Like, we won the election. Like, what? Like, what?
We're all gonna die, man. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's gonna be another one next year, and we're all fucking. What if the God of Chaos hits us?
Right, the God of Chaos. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a great name.
That's
for an asteroid.
Great name. It's actually the name.
I'm pretty sure. Okay. Ryan, do you want to look it up? Is it called the God of Chaos? That's actually coming.
Oh my
God.
Us.
But all right, let's do this thought experiment. Oh, and there's one more thing I want to talk about before we do this thought experiment. After we look at the God of Chaos. I want to say it is the God of Chaos. Yeah. One of the things that we talked about yesterday that I thought was fucking cool and good advice for any entrepreneur. When you met John Mackey, And there was a period where there was some questions about how Whole Foods was going to operate for the next, I don't know, decade or however long that was. I don't know exactly the time frame on it. But you were so inspired by him and Walter Robb, his CEO or co-CEO at the time, that you and your twin sister were like, look, we have ideas. And a lot of people have ideas, and then they go home and they have a glass of wine, and then they go to bed, and then they're like, meh, shmeh, shmeh. Those ideas. But no, you put together a 40-page proposal and
in 1 hour.
In an hour, and then gave it to him and were like, hey, we have ideas. And like, that is a defining characteristic. And again, I was talking about like, what are the superpowers of the people who have done the great things that I've met? That's a superpower because it's a choice. It's not that you could do the 40-page proposal. That is a great talent. And that you had good ideas, that is a great talent. And that's something to be proud of. But it's the fact that you did it. Like, that's the fucking superpower. The fact that you did it. You were just like, no, we're going to do this. We're not going to, shmeh, we got some good ideas, But you fucking did it, and you gave it to him.
Yeah.
And then you can tell the story from there. I'm not going to tell your story. Yeah, well, you gave it to him, and then he looked at it, and he was like, damn, these are some good ideas. And then he called all of the Whole Foods executive team and presented some of those ideas. And those ideas have manifested into legitimate ideas for Whole Foods. But the important part of this story is that you were inspired, you had an idea, and you just fucking, with blistering, relentless, like, dedication, did it, and then gave it to him, looked him in the eye, and were like, I've got ideas for you. And he was like, I bet you do. I feel you seem correct. Like, that's a rad thing.
That was an inspired moment. I mean, we were very inspired by him and Walter by sharing, because they were like, co-CEOs of a multi-billion-dollar company sharing such deep vulnerability. And that was my first foray into conscious capitalism and seeing like real massive CEOs and massive leaders and founders of big, huge companies just showing such deep vulnerability at that scale. And I was just we were so moved by it and I think that it just goes, it's like, it's a co-inspiration thing, right? It's like, we're inspired by them who inspire us, who inspire them, who inspire us. And it's like this amazing flow of energy. And I think that happens when it's like, you're like, oh, we're on the right track here, like energetically. And I think that when it comes to inspirational hits, right? It's like when you created Onnit, or, when I created all of my companies, it was sort of like an inspirational hit. And you just went out and fucking did it, because
that's the difference though, because I think a lot of us get inspirational hits.
Yeah.
Very few of us go out and do it.
Right.
And go out and really, really do it. You know what I mean?
I think that's big difference. And that's why competition, I think, is really important as a young person to experience, or as someone to cultivate, as an adult who didn't like sports or didn't do anything competitive, to go and cultivate a little bit of that muscle, because I think that to get up and play a sport every day and go against an opponent every single day, and to go and like stand in front of someone and over again, even if you say you lost a couple of games and you have to like freaking pick yourself up in the tournament and just fight another day. I think you do develop that muscle to just like go out and
used to losing.
Right.
Like
right.
Everybody's
I mean,
so
I'm not
afraid
really,
of,
but just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
I do say that losing is such an unusual taste that it feels
don't,
good on the palate these days, because it's been this steady diet of winning, and a nice loss has that umami flavor, that I've been craving after a while. So I know what you mean, but we lose all the time if we're in sports.
Yes.
Like all the time we lose.
Yeah.
And like,
per play, per game. It's
per
like,
game, all the time. We miss the shot,
like,
game-winning shot. Ball swings over to left side. Aubrey for the 3 to win the game. Brick. Damn. Sorry, everybody. School cheerleaders, fucking everybody. We're out of the playoffs. See you later. Okay, goodbye. Nice season. Sorry. That's reality that you have. And that's going to be the reality of any entrepreneurship venture or any other venture.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I also think there is something to be said about developing a work ethic too. And I think that like there are certain people who love to talk, and there are certain people who like to do. And I always go back to the same Will Smith story about how he always says, "Put me on a treadmill next to another actor or next to another guy. That guy might be better looking than me. That guy might be better, like more talented than me. That guy might have more connections than me. That guy might just be like literally like outperform me in every single thing. But either he gets off that treadmill first or I die." I will outwork any motherfucker, who tries to come against me. And I think people forget about how important it is to work your fucking ass off.
And like your willingness to bear it.
Yeah.
Like your willingness to bear it. And there's a lot of ways to practice that. Like the treadmill is an interesting one because that is one way. That's a physical activity.
Yeah.
But that actually might end up blowing out your knees or something like that. But like one thing that I'll be mindful of that in is I do a lot of hot therapy. I've been in a lot of sweat lodges and temazcals, and we have a sauna. And I'll get in there, and part of the practice is to be with yourself. It's almost like a heat meditation,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get in there, but I love watching people come in after me, fuck around on their phone for a minute and then leave.
Yeah.
And then there'll be flocks of people coming in and out, and I'll just patiently look at them like, good luck with everything in life.
I can't sit
if you
through
can't sit through this sauna.
Right.
Or they'll come in and they'll pour a bunch of water on and they'll be like, whew, yeah, I was toasty. I got to get out there. Like, I've been in here 35 minutes, bitch. Thanks for the hot water. I'm going to be in here after you're out of here. You're not doing yourself. So like and you're just practicing, you're practicing the ability to withstand that level of heat. You're practicing because we're going to have to in entrepreneurship. Sometimes it's going to be a lightning bolt out of left field. Sometimes it's just going to be a grind.
I think also, genuinely, being being a first generation immigrant, my father, like I said, came to this country with no money. My mom, they both really built an incredible life for us. At the same time, our backs are, we have no trust fund. We don't have a fallback plan. Like, we gotta make it, or we gotta go figure it out. Like, there's no going back, And so I think when your back's against the wall a little bit too, you sit there a little longer. You withstand it a little bit longer, and you fight through the pain a little bit longer. And I think that there's something to be said about letting your children not have a big cushion to fall back on.
It's crucial.
I think it's the most important thing.
It's kids crucial. My dad was rich as shit, and he didn't give me $1 to start on it. Not $1.
I love you, Dad.
And like that was crucial because if he did and he gave me like a cushy salary, I have no trust. People love to assume that because my dad was wealthy. He was a great commodities trader. Not wealthy anymore, and also never set up a trust fund and never set up any way to give me money. And thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Like fucking thanks, Dad. Because if you did, maybe that would have taken a little of the edge off.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have been so fired. I think I would have been pretty fired up because I had a bunch of other things that I wanted to do. But nonetheless, maybe it would have taken the edge off. Maybe I'd just been like, I'm all right. I got this trust fund anyways.
Most people I know who are from trust funds, who are trust fund babies, have this deep guilt ridden, like they feel so like, why do I deserve, like, who am I to have, and then they just kind of, they float around and don't have the purpose. Feels very like,
or they pretend they have a bunch of businesses.
Right.
They're like, exactly. I got this thing going on, and
like
this
Trump.
thing.
Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. But it just like it's true. It's people who just come with big fat spoons in their mouth and don't fucking know the
because it goes back to struggle.
Yes,
they haven't had to actually taste what it's like to struggle, and that's the compression that builds the adaptation, which is the only way that we're gonna actually be who we're capable of being. That's why I'm always finding the thing. What's the scary thing that I can do? What's the thing that I can tilt my lance towards? Ooh, open relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try that. Wow, I got fucking smashed. I just got crushed. Excellent. I'm much stronger now.
Right?
Like, great. Like, what's the scariest psychedelic? Ayahuasca. Okay, what's scarier? Iboga. Okay, I guess I'm doing that one. Like,
how was it?
It's 24 hours of the most uncomfortable thing you could possibly ever imagine.
What did you experience? In iboga?
Oh, it's 24 hours on a psychedelic where you're interacting with, like your highest consciousness and the abilities that you never thought were possible. But it feels like you're in a high voltage shed. You're impossibly nauseous. The only relief you get from this blinding, you can't even see straight. It looks like you're seeing through an old television, and everything is just fever and nausea, and your pulse is at 110. And the only pleasure you can get is to slightly move your body, because when you move your joints, you get a small release of endorphins. It feels like just a little bit of relief from the blistering, heart-pounding heat, buzzing in your ears, blinding feeling, and then the iboga basically kicking your ass for like as long as it wants to kick your ass for. And then it eventually transitions typically into some release of that and being like, nah, just kidding. You're pretty awesome, actually. Anyways,
You're like, fuck, why did I do that?
Yeah,
Wait.
it's gnarly. It's gnarly. And I think
Would you do it again?
I've done it 3 times. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like I have
What's
to find.
your edge? Yeah.
I have to find the struggle. Like what's the challenge? And I'm not saying everybody should do iboga or everybody should do ayahuasca or everybody should do anything or open relationship. Don't follow me just because that's what I chose. But I will say, find your struggle.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Like don't follow my struggles.
Yeah.
These were mine, and I chose these for me because they were right for me. But whatever your struggle is, go find that thing.
I don't think I could have even written my book Disrupt Her had I not been through the most crazy experience, building my companies and going through the struggle and really the heartache and the pain and all the things. Like I think I wouldn't have written something that now is of value to others. And I'm sure, you can say the same with your book.
Nobody would listen to a damn word I said.
Yeah.
My learning has been, I've read some books, I've talked to some cool people, but it's been experiential.
That's it.
It's been like largely experiential because I've gone out and I've done it.
Yeah.
And that's what I can add to any conversation. And that's why no matter who I'm talking with, we can look at each other and go like, brother. Like even somebody like Tim Kennedy, Special Forces, Army Ranger sniper, top-ranked UFC middleweight, one of the elite performers, right? Like we can sit across from the table of each other and like be like, hey, brother, and mean it. Because like he respects the things, he's terrified of the things that I've done. I can't even fathom the things that he's done.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we have a mutual respect of
Totally.
like, all right, we're both willing we're both willing to go into the hard places and then come back, changed from those things. And that's the thing. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why everybody knew that we would get along so well.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we're both fired up and we're both like willing to go through some shit.
Yeah.
Yes,
I agree.
And I have to go through way less paper to get through my own shit. Now, thanks to your Tushy.
Okay.
So just to bring it full circle back. Now, all it is when I have the Tushy, I just push that little spray, and then all I'm doing is I'm drying my asshole off, not smearing dingleberries.
And you're using, the average American uses 57 sheets of toilet paper per day, which is 15 million trees per year.
Hey, tree haters. Go out and get some Tushy, you tree haters.
Yeah.
Stop hating trees.
Yeah.
Stop having itchy buttholes.
Yeah, it's gross.
Gross.
I mean, and also just to bring that full circle, wet wipes actually cause anal fissures and anal itching because it strips away the natural oils from behind, because those wet wipes have those chemicals that actually strip the oils over and over. So in time, you'll start getting micro lacerations on your butthole. You'll start having to get anal fissure operation. The number of anal fissures operations have skyrocketed since wet wipes took off. And so those who have anal itching or anything that has to do thinking it's such a counterintuitive thing because you're like, oh, I'm extra clean because I'm using wipes. It's actually worse because you're stripping away all the oils from back there and not causing lacerations. It's fucking awful. And so, and of course,
if you're going to have lacerations on your butthole, you better be having a lot of fun.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't do it from wet wipes.
Yeah. It's just fresh water. I mean, like, water is a universal solvent. It's just like a duh thing. So I'm glad you finally are on the train. It's like, and the amount of money you save. I mean, not that, whatever, but it's like the amount, it's like over the course of, like, within 3 months, you're paid back. And then, like, you're saving thousands of dollars. I mean, it's just. Across the board,
there's the money
it's
of the toilet paper, which probably is inconsequential, but my time is money.
Yeah.
And I'm saving like 15 minutes a day wiping my ass and then taking like shirt cocking showers because I'm just trying to wash my lower body and I'm too lazy to take off my shirt. So I'm saving a lot of time. And if my time is money, then I'm definitely saving a lot of money from doing that. So if you're not onto that innovation, definitely get on board. And I'm excited to see all the other cool things that you do, because I know that you're going to continue to do cool things. It's just the way that you're built. And you're an unstoppable force. And the world's going to be better because of it, and already has been.
Ditto.
Yeah. So everybody, Disrupt Her book. Follow you.
Yes.
Do
Well, yeah.
things.
Instagram at Miki Agrawal. Check out my book Disrupt Her, or Do Cool Shit, my first book.
Cool.
And check out Tushy, hellotushy.com. And that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
We love you so much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Miki.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.